From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswires. It's updated daily. More features coming soon. Tonight's show is brought to you by the Mighty Moose Beard Oil Company. It's 100% Canadian, 100% natural, taking care of beards around the world. Visit MightyMooseBeard.com. Don't forget to use promo code SOR2019 today. For years, the state of Utah has been a state of mystery. From the famous Skinwalker Ranch and thousands of acres dedicated to top-secret testing of government projects to the Dugway Proving Grounds. What is actually going on there, especially with the high-secured ranch? Looking into the Skinwalker Ranch phenomena is Erica Lukes, a longtime UFO researcher and historian. Erica is one of the leading voices in Utah when it comes to strange phenomena. Tonight, Erica also brings with her on the air Chris Marx. Now, Chris's story is quite firsthand. Call him a Skinwalker Ranch whistleblower if you want. Chris is someone who worked on the ranch and has recently come out to discuss the strange occurrences that continue to this day in the Utah Basin. Then, in the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Erica Lukes, Chris Marx, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. Always a pleasure, Erica, to have you on the show.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. This is my favorite show to come on. I love it.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Dave.
I'm blushing now. I am blushing. I'm
no,
gonna,
you're not.
I'm going to. We got a little bit of breaking news with you. We do.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. It's very rare that I get to break news here. Now, there's going to be a lot of bleeding hearts out there, but something happened this weekend. Something romantic. Maybe a little Barry White by a campfire.
Oh, bear chicka bow bow.
We are setting the mood here. I don't know if I should break into song right now or not, but there's a congratulations in order.
Yes. Yes, I was introduced to Chris a few months ago, thanks to Ryan Skinner, and we talked to get him ready for the show, and then we talked, and we really talked, and
we're still talking.
Yeah, and we are engaged and going to be getting married, so it's very exciting. It happened very suddenly, and we fell madly in love pretty quickly. And I feel at the end of the day that it was something that Skinwalker Ranch did bring us together. And I think maybe it's paranormal, maybe it's just that Brian Skinner introduced us, but something pretty magnificent happened. So we're very excited.
Well, I do have to ask. I mean, the courtship was about 17 minutes about that before you knew, or maybe let's be honest here.
And a half, but I gotta say, you get older, you date a lot of people, you know what you like and what you don't pretty quickly, and I pretty much knew, and it's very rare to find somebody who's had paranormal experiences or who understands that. And he's a professional musician. I'm a professional musician. And so there were so many levels that we connected, and we both knew it's like, my God, you don't find that every day. And Lord knows we've spent all of our lives looking for a perfect partner. And when you find it, it's just like, yeah, let's go for it.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, two beautiful people falling in love. Teenage mist in the air. Oh.
And I feel I'm acting like a 12-year-old schoolboy. I mean, it's just so much fun. I love it. And I love the fact that we both shared such a passion and a need to protect Skinwalker Ranch and the surrounding area. It really is a truly remarkable and a special place that unfortunately has really been tainted by certain people that have gone in there, and people that go in there and do things that are just not good for anybody in the community. And so I I think we both have that mutual love and respect, and we will work to make sure that good things happen in that regard, and that the truth be told, and that the people in the community are supported.
All right, Chris, what's your technique? We need to know this.
Actually, on which level? With Erica, it's just amazing. I mean, she called me. She hadn't gotten the info from Ryan Skinner. So Ryan called me back asking me, hey, is it okay if Erica would call you? And I said, okay, yeah, sure. I didn't know who Erica was. I had not been involved in any of this community stuff or UFO stuff, and never had heard of her. She called me, and what was supposed to be like a 20-minute pre-interview type thing ended up to be, I think, about 5 hours. And then we ended up texting the rest of the day and all of next day. And I think I bought a ticket to Salt Lake about a week after that.
My goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness. You guys move fast. You guys move fast.
But you know what?
It's
so much fun, and I really feel blessed that he's in my life, and I really think there was a bigger reason for us meeting and connecting so quickly, and all of that.
And we've been really busy because we both share this passion for the Uinta Basin, for the ranch, for the current stewardship that's taken place, which is a wonderful thing. That's happening up there. And so we went back to Uinta twice last couple of months, reconnected with several people that are telling their stories. We found a lot of different locations that are very, very powerful, a lot of energy, and had quite a few experiences up there. And we are trying to go back to the roots of making the story not a story, but a real account of what is going on without special effects, without threat levels, simply documenting and witnessing without trying to interpret anything, simply witnessing, interviewing, collecting data, and kind of reconnecting with the whole basin and what's going on.
Yeah, and it's wonderful, and it's something that like I said, we've both been passionate about. We've both done on different levels for years, and I think that that's what is needed, because there's been a lot of things that have gone on probably behind the scenes that haven't been necessarily healthy for the community or the witnesses who've had really profound life-changing experiences, and so we're excited to be able to work with some of them and to try to document and preserve the history of that area.
And based on that, what really is phenomenal, Dave, is that people are so responsive. They are so appreciative to be able to just tell their story, not being ridiculed. Somebody that's actually taking them serious, and we're listening to the stories and asking questions. And the response has been phenomenal. I mean, we're getting a lot of contacts where people are contacting us and want to talk to us. So we're going to be, quite frequently up there and talking to people from all walks of lives and reworking this whole thing on a truth level, not on a hyped Hollywood effect, regurgitated, doing something real. That's the whole point.
And also, and I want to just add to that. I mean, I have been working with different families up there. I mean, many generations of different families, and documenting their experiences I've done that for over half a decade. And so that's what we're going to continue to do. So it's not like we're just coming in and doing a one and done. You've served your purpose. We're moving on. It's important to keep the connection, to keep getting information. And because once you have an experience, it's a lifetime full of things that you have to very carefully document and preserve. And so we're not about going in there to exploit anybody, to make a buck. This is serious work because we care about what we're doing and the integrity of what we're doing.
And
right.
It's based on trust.
I got to ask you guys, okay, because there's always listeners who tune on in, and Erica, our listenership is ever growing, and we have new people tuning in all the time. There may not be that many people out there who actually know what the Skinwalker Ranch is all about and its significance to the paranormal. Could you give us a brief history of it?
Skinwalker Ranch, in fact, maybe Chris could do a little. Skinwalker Ranch is a beautiful place. It's over 480 acres in the Uinta Basin, right out on the outskirts of Roosevelt, Utah. And it was a working cattle ranch. And a family back in the 90s, the Shermans, owned the ranch and experienced quite a few disturbing paranormal events, cattle mutilations. They found there was one account that Christopher O'Brien talks about where he was talking to the owners of the ranch, Terry Sherman, on the phone, and he was in shock because he'd seen these balls of light. The balls of light were being chased by the dogs. The dogs went out to a tree and were basically, when Terry heard them yelp, he ran out there. It's not too far of a distance from the house, but they were reduced to puddles of grease. And so there were things, happening with the cattle being pushed into a bait pen. The family was so frightened that they all began, from my understanding, sleeping together. They would find strange marks on their skin. So they were pretty traumatized. And then Zach Van Eck from the Deseret News, who is an award-winning journalist, got a hold of the story and published a story about this ranch where all of these mysterious things were happening. And that story blew up, and that's when Robert Bigelow found out about that, who's a billionaire aerospace man, which Chris can tell you about because he worked for him. But Bigelow came in and bought the ranch and then turned that into a place of study, which we now know some of that money came from Pentagon funding. So it's a very interesting story. And then you've got different layers of what Bigelow was doing up there. And now you've got the new ownership at Mantium. They've owned that for, I believe, about 3 years. And they are privately, they have no allegiance to the government. And so they're doing private research, and therefore will be able to release what they want to the public, unlike Robert Bigelow. So that is pretty big news. But it's an amazing place. You can just drive, even within a mile of the place, and there's something that absolutely shifts in the energy, in the atmosphere. It's incredible and very sacred.
Chris, we're going to get into a lot of your story tonight because it is so highly important to push this investigation further into the Skinwalker Ranch and the mysteries around it. We got a few minutes here before we got to go to break, about 9.5 minutes. We got lots of time. Mm-hmm. Let's learn a little bit about your history and how you ended up at Skinwalker Ranch.
I was a guitar player in Los Angeles, did that for many, many years professionally. Then eventually quit and changed my whole interest into law enforcement. I became a sheriff's deputy, eventually a sheriff's sergeant in New Mexico, and did a lot of schooling into investigation and so forth. It was a small department, so you had to wear a lot of different hats, and so I did a lot of investigative stuff. Then from there, I quit that. I became a executive protection guy in Hollywood for some of the executives. Did that for a couple of years, and then moved to Las Vegas and thought I had a pretty decent resume, but apparently nobody really cared. And I joined the U.S. Army, and I deployed to Iraq for 2 years in 2008, and worked my second year, which was important, in intelligence, military intelligence, worked under top secret guys. Got back from deployment and was unemployed. The company I'd worked for had gone under, and the National Guard actually put out a job flyer for Bigelow Aerospace. And I have never heard about it. I figured it sounds fancy enough. So I went and applied And in the middle of the interview, the interviewer shifted gear and started asking me rather unconventional questions, like if I had ever experienced anything out of the ordinary or something I couldn't explain. And I said, yeah, actually I have. And I gave him several examples. And he said, you know what? I don't think we're going to hire you for aerospace. I think you'd be a perfect candidate with your background and all for BASS. I never had heard of BASS, Bigelow Advanced Space Studies, or Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. And so I got recruited into that. Spent my first week at the library, and it was amazing. And just the material that was assembled there was just mind-blowing. Roswell and so forth, and a lot of the Skinwalker Ranch, which also I never had heard about before. Eventually deployed up to the ranch, and it was just a ride for about 6 years. I'm probably the person that's been there the longest continuously, and I've had a lot of experiences. I'm also an MPI investigator, meaning I got a federal investigations license through the U.S. Army. And so I've actually learned how to process scenes, how to document the factual and, not to form conclusions unless they're warranted and there's evidence to back them up. So over the course of all these years, I did a lot of investigation up on the ranch, and most of it, everything was reported. One report copy would go to Mr. Bigelow, and one would go to the Pentagon. And so I kept a lot of the copies of those reports, and along with close to maybe 1,000 pictures that I've taken over the years that document the actual scenes and events best I could document, meaning I got DNA that I collected. However, I don't have that anymore because I turned that over. I'm not sure what happened to all of that. But I also have a lot of GPS coordinates, pictures that actually show the process of scene processing. And like I said, I've done that extensively, and I've done it on the ranch on just about every level. And it's been phenomenal.
Did you know what you were getting into when you first stepped onto Skinwalker Ranch? Take us through that first day. You get hired by BASS, Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Space Systems.
Bigelow Aerospace, yeah. It's actually Bigelow Aerospace Advanced Space Studies. Okay,
sorry. And yeah, I just got schooled there. Anyways, thank you for that. What did you know about the Skinwalker Ranch before you took the job, number one? But number two, when you walked onto the ranch for the first time, what was that like? Did you question what you were getting yourself into?
No, because I didn't know. When I interviewed, I didn't even know the name of the company. Actually, he mentioned that to me after. He asked me if I could deploy 2 weeks at a time. And I said, sure, yeah, where to? And the answer was, well, we're going to tell you. If you get hired, then you'll find out. I said, okay, cool. On the way home, I was like, I think I have a job. I'm not sure exactly who I'm going to be working for or what I'm going to be doing. But I think I have employment, which was cool. I did not know anything about the ranch, did not know anything about Bigelow or BASS or any of that. So I was at BASS for, I want to say about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then my first deployment came up. So I had talked to some of the people that had been up there, and there were a lot of stories and a lot of different opinions and a lot of excitement about it. And so when I first came up there, I had really, I wanted to keep an open mind and keep really, I didn't want to get tainted going up there. I wanted to be able to develop my own vibe, my own opinion, and my own kind of my own look at it. And so when we got up there the first time, my very first time, was actually very significant. We got there, and at that point, there were still two of us that were up there as a team and two that came up relieving them. Later on, as funding dried up, it was just one person at the ranch. At that point, the ranch was about 1,000 acres, 480 some, which are organic, and then the other 600 were leased. So it was like, at the end, one person on 1,000 some acres of land. And so we got up there, and as I said, we were first time ever. So the two guys that were up there took us for a tour from gate to gate, and it showed us the area, introduced us to the dogs and the caretakers and all that. And there was nobody left in that trailer. The four of us were out in the vehicle, and I had brought a whole bunch of gear in duffel bags and in tote boxes because I didn't know what to expect. And I had all put it into, I had the bedroom on the northeast corner, and a small bedroom, 2 beds, 2 bunk beds in it. And I put all my gear neatly on the one bed and had decided the other one was where I'm going to sleep that night. So we go out for about an hour, hour and a half. We come back, and all my gear, every bit of it, is all over it's destroyed. It is, all my stuff is out of the boxes. They've been tossed throughout the room. There is clothing hanging off the curtain rails, about 7 feet up. I'm walking in. I'm kind of shocked. I'm like, what's going on? What happened? And I called the guys and I said, look, check this out. This is insane. And then this ended up in a very long night of storytelling and events that took place that they didn't plan or had planned on telling us. So that was my very first evening. And
oh my goodness,
it was very, because like I said, there was nobody in this trailer. There was nobody around, and so I figured, okay, I guess I'm put on notice. But I was also determined that I was not going to get scared of the ranch. I was interested in the place. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I mean, it's just gorgeous. It's geographically just beautiful. And so I figured, okay, no problem. I'm just going to, digest this. And it took me a little bit to digest and move forward. And then over time, I built a really wonderful relationship with the entities that are up there.
Okay, we got to talk about that and a lot more coming up on Spaced Out Radio. Erica Lukes, Chris Marx, Skinwalker Ranch. What's it like being inside the most notorious ranch in North America? More on Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacy, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters in the frozen Canadian tundra, welcoming all of you for tuning us in. Reminder, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to our free YouTube channel at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. That's all I want. And our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. You can fill out a Sightlines report or rock out to Bumblefoot. We got more happening as we speak in the next couple of weeks. Tonight we are talking Skinwalker Ranch. Erica Lukes and her newly minted fiancé, Chris Marx, are with us tonight. Newly minted.
I know. You're the first person to announce that officially, so that rocks.
You realize there's a lot of broken hearts out there, Erica. A lot of broken hearts.
I know. Yeah. And it's, I know.
I know.
And
that's all right.
Yeah.
You got a good one. You got a good catch there.
I did. I'm very happy.
You got to teach him how to grow hair, though, because that's just the way it is.
Well, it's the military thing, So when he gets out of the military, he's going to grow his hair out again like he was when he was a, musician in LA, and he was doing the, the heavy metal band thing. And
it was quite long.
It was very long. Longer.
I need a picture of that. I need a picture of that. I will.
Yeah.
Just for verification purposes. Chris, what kind of guitars did you play?
I played mostly Fenders. I had a Jackson V that I did play, but my all-time favorite is actually my Frankencaster, which it's a Telecaster where I put Seymour Duncans in it, and then an American Professional neck, and it is a rocket of a guitar. I'm actually a big Telecaster fan.
I own 5 guitars, and I know 3 chords.
Well, no, I just love playing. I mean, I obviously don't do it professionally anymore. I try to get back into it here and there, but I used to, do that for a living for many years. Started when I was 14 and walked away when I turned 28 and Nirvana came out, and everything that we had done was obsolete, and I was just not going to get to do the Seattle type thing. And so I figured, you know what? Guess I'm not going to be a rock star, so let's do something real. And I became a cop. So,
but it's cool, and he also played with the guitar player from Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And things, yeah. So he played with some pretty well-known musicians and had quite a career there in L.A.
Very nice. Very nice. Off the radio, we'll talk about that because I like to rock and roll. I really still do like to rock and roll. But getting back to Skinwalker Ranch, you started having experiences there almost immediately after you started. I do want to get into this before we go any deeper into this. This is kind of a concerning question that I have. Did you have to sign any non-disclosure agreements when you were working there? And if so, how are you able to speak about this now?
Well, when I first got into this, I don't really recall what I all signed. I know I just pulled up a medical release form because we did undergo medical testing individually and got flown up to Reno. And they did a slew of medical tests on us, such as MRIs, EEGs, EKGs, blood work, and all of the above. And at that point, I realized, I was kind of questioning, am I the guy with a white coat or am I the hamster? And I figured I'm probably kind of a both. But the ranch is sold. It got sold in 2016. I am no longer employed by Bigelow. So the movie, or one of the recent movies came out, which triggered me into coming forward because of what I felt was a misrepresentation of the subject. And that got me started back out. And so, yeah, I'm able to talk whatever I want to talk about. You know, it's all ancient history at this point.
Right.
And I will.
I'm surprised that they have allowed you to do that. Considering how the secrecy of Bigelow Aerospace is with everything, I'm surprised that you don't have an NDA locking you down.
I've quit Bigelow in February. Like I said, the ranch has changed ownerships, and no, I'm not locked down. I didn't ask anyone for any clarification or permission, and I decided I'm going to tell the story as I experienced it. I'm not holding a claim that my story is the only story. There's a lot of people that have been on the ranch, work in the ranch. A lot of them have not come forward because they're still employed by reputable companies and don't want the trollage that happens and the discredit that happens. Now, let me put forward though, that in my opinion, Mr. Bigelow is a visionary. I am very honored that I had the opportunity to work for him. I've had a lot of personal conversations with him. I think he is a genius. I also want to put forward that I highly respect Dr. Colin Kelleher and would never do or say anything that would discredit or put a shadow of doubt on either or, because they have been the ones that put the place on the map. And Colin's work was phenomenal. Dr. Eric Davis's work was phenomenal. And there are a lot of people. Junior Hicks's work was phenomenal. And the list goes on and on and on. And a lot of these people can't come forward or don't want to come forward because of situations that currently bind them. But we've gotten a lot of very positive feedback from people behind the scenes because these stories are finally coming out and are being told the way that they happened. And not the same regurgitation, the same old with more threat and more hype and more effects and gigantic blackboards with all kinds of crazy stuff written on them. This is not what I want to do. I'm not into this for financial gain because, as you know probably, and most people know, you don't make money in this. I'm not in it for the money. There's no money to be had unless, you make a career out of it and you start retelling other people's stories for profit. But my interest is simply to tell the story as I have seen it, as I have documented. I had the pleasure of being in contact with some of the current stewards of the ranch. And I want to also be able to assist them in not having to reinvent the wheel, so to speak, on certain issues. And so I just want it to be the story that has other elements than just threat, hype, and so forth. And also painting the community up there like it's some sort of a crazy asylum type. It's not. I mean, totally is not.
Well, and I think, too, also, it's like there have been so many mythologies that have sprung out of the black cars and the black and the militaries doing testing and all of these things, and that these objects are actually responsible for people getting cancer, and there have been all of these, I think, very irresponsible things that have been allowed to kind of propagate, and I think that comes from certain places, and that's not healthy for that community. And it's just, you want people to be able to get good information. So how do we do that? I'm born and raised in Utah, and to me, this is my place. I'm a community activist. I care about people around me, and I deeply care about this subject. And so I think that community deserves better, and they also deserve to have, there's some very unique stories, and people need to be able to have a safe place where they're not dealing with all of this BS to be able to talk about it.
All right, we are with Erica Lukes and Chris Marx tonight on Spaced Out Radio talking about Skinwalker Ranch. I gotta tell you, as you guys have been talking, I have been in a full-fledged silent war with this moth that somehow got into my studio. This thing's like an inch big.
Dang.
And it buzzed me, and it freaked me out. And now I hate moths.
Oh dear.
Moths. And I don't know where it is. It's somewhere behind me, I think. But I'm going to get, by the end of the show, I'm going to get it. I am so going to get it. Moving on. Chris, you mentioned Robert Bigelow. This is the man of mystery when it comes to the field of ufology. You said you had many conversations with him. This is somebody who you have grown to respect. You called him brilliant just a couple of moments ago. For the people who don't know what Robert Bigelow is like on a personal side, to shake his hand, to stand and actually have a conversation with him, when it comes to the paranormal, what is his intrigue with all of this?
I can't speak for him on that. What I can tell you is that he apparently, as a young man or child, had seen several experiences or had experiences and became interested in this whole subject. He very successfully became a real estate magnate and built an empire, and then used that to build Bigelow Aerospace and created a design of a inflatable space module that is revolutionary, that there's currently one docked on the ISS, has been docked for almost 3 years, is almost done with the testing process. It's been in the media, it's been covered. He is revolutionizing something that would at some point afford us to colonize the moon, to go into deep space, because he's creating habitat that would allow to do that. And so the ranch was a research project that he had started with NIDS and then later on Bass. And he had a staff of some of the most brilliant people in scientific studies in the world working for him. And some of the results were mind-blowing. And maybe someday he's opening the vault to it. I don't know. I think it would be eye-opening if he ever did, because he has a lot to give. And hopefully someday he will.
But if he has so much to give, why is it so top secret? Why be so silenced about it? Why?
Because I think they're government, because he's under government. He's contracting for the government. So I think
back then, Bass was a government health contract. It came out of the whole Harry Reid. There was an interesting article in the New York Times. I'm sure you've read that. So he's probably governed by a lot of stipulations where he can't. Like I said, I don't want to speculate. I can't answer for him. But what I can tell you is that he is a very genuine person, that he's very vested in this, personally vested in this, that he is somebody, for example, when I deployed to Afghanistan in 2016, I went to say goodbye to him and the staff. And he said, Chris, if you need anything at all, reach out. I will make it happen. Don't worry about any financial stuff or anything at all. If there's anything at all that I can do for you while you were in Afghanistan, I will be there. Just reach out to me. And I actually had his personal phone number. I mean, he's a very genuine person. And I know there's a lot of talk and a lot of speculation, a lot of this, that, and the other. But no, he's a visionary.
If you heard while you were speaking, I had to slap my desk twice. That moth just dodged two of my slaps on the desk. I think it's wearing armor. I really do think it's wearing armor.
I love
Flew
these
right in my face.
little noises in the back. It just feels like some sort of, I don't know what.
No, I am trying to kill this. But okay, outside of Bigelow, the players, okay, we got everybody from John Alexander to Cole McKelleher. There has been talk that Luis Elizondo, who's now the face of the TTSA, worked there and did some studying as well. Basically, almost the entire To the Stars Academy lineup worked with Skinwalker Ranch under Bigelow at one time or another. when you were talking to these guys, what kind of guys are we dealing with? Let's start with John Alexander, because he is a man of mystery and a man of intrigue, and he also scares a lot of people.
I can't really talk about him because I've only met him once or twice, so I really don't know much about him. That was all back in the NIDS days. That didn't carry over into Bass. Bass was more of a, I guess, it was a different organization, different people. So I can't really tell you a whole bunch about Academy of the Stars and all that. I don't know these people. I've never worked with them. I've never spoken with them. I was not in a level of position where I would have been interacting with them. I was simply a worker bee that was working the ranch and did my experiments, did my studies, and at the same time trying to keep trespassers off the ranch. And so I was just involved in work. I didn't get involved with others, really. I was up there at the end by myself for 2 weeks at a time and just did my thing and tried to be the best witness that I could be. And I was able to develop some relationships. The biggest thing that we always tried to do was communication. That was the biggest goal that we had, was trying to communicate. And there are a lot of different approaches to create and establish communication. There is your conventional approach, and then there is a rather unconventional approach. And you can mix them, and some of the stuff was remarkable that came out of really unconventional approaches.
Mm-hmm. So what about, you mentioned Colin Kelleher earlier on, who ended up writing a book with George Knapp about Skinwalker Ranch. You said that he's a very intelligent man, fun to work with. Maybe you shared a coffee or two together over that time. How about him?
Yeah. He's a brilliant scientist. He's probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's brilliant. I mean, he was a CDC scientist prior. He is running the entire ECLIS program at Aerospace. He's got extremely bright people working with him, and they are doing some really high-tech stuff. Colin is a very intelligent, but also very amiable, very approachable. And if you ask him a question, he will actually take the time to discuss it with you. He's a very down-to-earth person, very down-to-earth.
Did you ever see Lou Elizondo there?
No.
Had you heard his name before?
Maybe somewhere here and there. Like I told you in the beginning, when I came back from Afghanistan, the ranch was sold, and I worked still at Aerospace. I got grandfathered into Aerospace. BAS was dissolved, and I transferred over and took on a security position with them. And again, that was way above my pay grade, but I've never seen him there. And he may have been there. I'm not saying that he didn't, but I just never seen him. I saw Colonel Alexander twice, but it was more of a touring type situation, more like an event. It wasn't any. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't into with those talks. But what I do notice is there are a lot of people that are ranch experts and that are claimed to be, and a lot of talk about this theory and that theory, and everybody has an opinion. But where I injected myself was I actually worked it for 6 years. I've actually been exposed to these entities, and there are several different entities that appear to be location bound. I actually have had experiences up there that are very, very different, very unique, and I've documented them. I was lucky enough to be able to process some of these events by not just the report, which went to, like I said, one to Mr. B, one went to the Pentagon, but I was also able to actually take measurements, take pictures, measure the depth of certain tracks, collect samples of fluids, collect samples of DNA, hair, at least I attempted. I don't know what came out of the samples I submitted, because the information would flow up but would not flow back down. So I don't know what came of some of this, but I was able to collect actually hard evidence, as I would of a crime scene if I worked an MPI case for the military.
Right. So when you say you were collecting evidence, what were you collecting evidence on?
On events that I had noticed or witnessed or was being subjected to. I would go back and try to document them after the fact. I mean, I would try to document them. I would try to document them while they're happening. For whatever reason, the ranch is unique in that way. Things always happen when you either not expect it, or your mind is somewhere else, or your camera is somewhere on a counter, kitchen counter, and then I used a GoPro. I figured, you know what? I'm going to every time I'm going to be up there, I'm going to be wearing a GoPro. In that way, surely I will capture this.
And I want to just throw this in here because I think this is an important point. You know, we talked about the NDA with Bigelow and things. And, I asked that question of Chris when I first interviewed him to come on the show. Chris took a lot of his own equipment on the ranch because they weren't given necessarily the best equipment to do research, and so he would bring on pieces of his own equipment. And so the footage that he had and the things that he documented were from his cameras.
Right. I would...
Go ahead.
So I would, because some of the equipment we had up there that were given up there was for a good example, and I'm kind of reaching back out as far as all the rumors, as far as like the black limousines, the government limousines we would ride in. If somebody would have actually cared to look, they had Hertz Rent-A-Car or Enterprise Rent-A-Car stickers on them. They were simply what they had on the lot. They were big enough to carry our equipment, and they had cruise control, which was important to travel from Vegas to Vernal. It's an 8-hour drive. But going back to the equipment, you cannot document fine hairlines or nail imprints in soil or in ice with a Olympus click and shoot, point and shoot type camera. So
on that note, I'm going to get you to hold on, Chris. Chris Marx, Erica Luke, Skinwalker Ranch, Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio coming up. We're going to get deep into the woo coming on up.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Come hang out with me, Little Richie G, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects, from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Come hang out with Spaced Out Radio where we own the night. This is Carl. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and during the show, use the hashtag Spaced Out Radio to chat with us live. On Instagram, at Dave Scott SOR. On Facebook, give our page a like, Spaced Out Radio Show. SOR archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. Come join us, or I will come join you. See you at your window.
Are you having encounters with the paranormal, supernatural, or ufological that you cannot explain? Look no further than the SOR Sightlines Report, brought to you by the Experiencers Support Association. This is Ryan Stacey, head of the Research Association, TESSA. Soon on the Spaced Out Radio website, you'll be able to file your reports and have them researched for you. We are independent and ready to help Spaced Out Radio listeners today.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio. We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Always a pleasure to be broadcasting to you live because we do it here on Spaced Out Radio now 7 days a week. Rich Giordano on Saturdays, Everett Thiemer on Sundays. We got things going. Hey, we welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Down in Reedsport, Oregon, we're on KDUN AM 1030. On the digital side, we say hello to everyone listening in on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Medioxumate. Medioxumate is your password. Nobody knows what it means, but the password is set by the clam each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot. Fill out a Sightlines report if you are having experiences you can't explain and want them investigated. And, of course, Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire is updated daily as well. We're talking Skinwalker Ranch tonight. What's going on at the infamous ranch formerly owned by Robert Bigelow and his Bass team? Former employee Chris Marx is with us, along with Erica Lukes, one of the top UFO researchers in the United States, and apparently now Chris's fiance, as was announced in hour 1 of the show. Yeah, how does that feel, Erica?
Surprise!
How does that feel? Yeah. Hello, everybody.
I think I'm sure that the world of ufology will probably. I don't know what's going to happen when that news really makes it out everywhere. It'll be fun to see, but it's awesome. I just absolutely am in love with Chris, and we have a very special connection, which we've literally had since the moment we picked up the phone and said hello. So like I said, it's very quick. It has been, I feel like I've lived a million lifetimes with him and am very comfortable. We have a lot of the same interests, and we both deeply care about Skinwalker Ranch and the Uinta Basin and all of the people there. So I think it's, I feel very strongly that we have a mission, that there's something that we need to do. But not only having fun, which clearly we've been doing, but also we want to investigate, we want to preserve, we want to create a safe space for people that have had profound experiences, life-changing experiences, and don't often have a place to go where they're getting factual information or proper support. So we have a lot of fun things that we're going to do.
And furthermore, also, we're trying to. People have experiences out there, and for whatever reason, there is a lot of activity, not just at the ranch, but the entire basin. It seems to be centralized on or around the ranch. Interesting enough, also, it is surrounded by reservation. So this is almost like an island of non-res land in the on the reservation up there. And a lot of the local neighbors are putting up have put up poles and hang animal skins over them in order to keep what's apparently on the ranch and keep it from coming over into their neighboring properties. And so a lot of people have questions, and some of them are in a field that I don't know a whole bunch about. And Erica had a guest on her show a couple of weeks back, Ira. Mm-hmm. Help me with the last name.
Wolfenosen.
Yep, I can never pronounce that. She is an alchemist, and she has a plethora of information that I'm learning from her. And some of these questions that we're being asked are run by other people like Era, and get her take on it. And then we reach out back to these people that have these questions and try to at least give them an idea, not saying that that's the answer, but at least give them a basic idea of what it could be or how it could be related or connected. And there was a question asked on the forum if the energy had to do with the people itself. And the answer to that, at least in my opinion, is if you go up there and you show fear, or you show cockiness, or you show a dismissal, yes, it will read that, and it will get back with you on that. So the whole idea is when you go there, you have to keep a blank mind, because everything that you bring up there with you, problems, whatever issues you may have in your personal life, will be amplified. It's almost as if it can somehow read your mind. It's just a very different location.
Absolutely.
Question from Joe coming from the chat room. Joe is asking, and he's got fantastic hair. You'd be jealous of this, Chris.
Really?
Joe is asking, yeah, fantastic. Yeah, he doesn't even call it hair. He calls it his mane. All right. Joe is asking, when were the first documented reports of weird stuff happening on the ranch or in the area?
I can't put a date on it. I know that it all started when the Shermans had the experiences starting up there with their cattle operation and things moving and things becoming uncomfortable. And that's the earliest I know that documentation happened. However, there's been a lot of oral lore that I have been told. Let me go back here a second. During my time up there, I met a lot of people, and one lady in particular introduced me to some of the Ute, the tribal up there, the Utes elders. And so they were very cautious at first, but eventually I was accepted by them and was able to observe certain of the dances and this and that and the other that nobody else really had. And there was a level of trust, and they were telling me that in their history, this really goes back to the days of tribal conflict. And then the first garrison of Buffalo soldiers was stationed in Fort Duchesne and also Fort Myton. And there were stories then. And that's where the whole lore, and actually it is not a lore, but let's call it that for now, of the Skinwalker came to be. There's a lot of finger pointing on who created it and for what exact purpose, but I can tell you that it is not a lore, that the documentation of this has really been going on for a couple hundred years. I can also tell you that the ranch road, the dirt road that connects east and west gates, at some point was a county road. It had a bus stop on it. So people have been living there, but events have happened throughout time. And when exactly that started, I don't know if anybody knows. But as far as modern documentation, that began in the early 90s when the Shermans moved up there to raise cattle, and things went haywire.
Mm-hmm. How about for you? When did it? You said it started immediately for you. Were they very serious events, or were they just little things that were happening that were just kind of mystifying your mind, thinking that was odd?
It was a mix of a lot of things. There were, like I said, the first evening, my gear was tossed, and I was not going to back down from that. I was like, okay. I wasn't angry. I wasn't scared. I was confused about what had happened and why and by whom and so forth. So I try to approach with a realistic approach because I've been an investigator in law enforcement and the military. So I don't go in with, oh my God. I'm going in with, this is odd. I wonder what happened. And so there were little things at times where you have a routine, like get up, you make a coffee, you go to the restroom, you come back, and you put your coffee cup generally in the same place, which for me was on the kitchen counter next to the coffee machine. And I'd come back from the restroom, like 2-3 minutes, and my coffee cup would now be on the living room table, which is about 20 feet away from the kitchen or the coffee maker. Or I would take loose change out of my pocket. Every Thursday we'd go to Vernal for a supply run to Walmart, and I would make it my laundry day. So I would take my stuff out of my pocket, put it on my nightstand, and go shopping. And I came back at one point, and all my loose change was organized by denomination, by first pennies, then nickels, dimes, and quarters. They were all head up. They were all facing in a southwestern direction. And they were, on top of that, organized by the year they were minted. So the pennies were organized in the years they were minted. The same with the nickels, the dimes, and so forth. So they were just odd things. Or I would be in the kitchen, and my bedroom had a vent, air vent on top of it that was connecting. It was a double wide. And I could see the brightest light coming out of my bedroom, and it would shine through the vent. It would shine from underneath the door. It was just like so bright that you couldn't even really look at it. So when I opened the door, there was nothing. There was no light on. There was nothing at all. Those were some of the little events. There are several homesteads on the property, and we called it Homestead 2, Homestead 3 were the ones to the west, abandoned buildings. And when I first got there, there's a lot of energy around those buildings, and I would take great care. It took me 2 weeks to photograph every nook and cranny of those places. I mean, everything. And I noticed there were like blue-colored crayon drawings in one of the buildings that appeared to have been the main living house. And what was odd was that the blue crayon was pliable. It was not dried out. And it would actually cover the cracks and dust. It wasn't like the cracks covered the crayon, but the crayon covered the cracks. So it looked really, really fresh. And I'm looking at this, and they're about 3.5 feet tall. It's depicting a man and an animal with maybe a dog, canine teeth to it, but pointy ears. Something a 3 or 4 year old child would draw. Totally looked like a 3 or 4 year old. I figured what would be the reach of a 4 year old reaching up? How high could it reach to actually draw something on the wall? So I kind of thought about this for a minute and figured, what can I do to try to use this, to do something with it? So I went to Walmart and bought a box of crayons, different colors. The rafters of that building were about falling down. I mean, they're very, very unstable, very rotten and rotted out. So I took these crayons, a box of them, and just threw them up into the rafters where nobody could see them. Nobody knew they were there other than myself. And I walked away from it. And lo and behold, about 7 months after I did that, I had totally forgotten about it. I mean, periodically I walked back into the house and looked around. There was now the same type of drawing was on the eastern wall of that building, same type of picture, same type of height. Again, the crayon color was covering cracks and dirt and dust, not the other way around. And I looked at my former pictures, and I know for a fact that wasn't there. That came at some point and appeared. So there were a lot of different activities. There were hummings of what appeared to be a young girl around that area, and sometimes strong smoke of tobacco. And mind you, this is about 3 miles from the nearest anything. There's nothing there. And it smelled like it was right next to you. And those were some of the milder events that happened. And then there were some that were a lot more profound. And one of your listeners had asked about wolves. And yes, there are wolves on that property. There's 3 wolves to be correct. And they are usually hanging out in the southern woodline by the river. And I've got pictures of them. I mean, I photographed them. I'm not just talking about there's wolves. I actually got documentation of those beings. There are no wolves in that area. I mean, on the ranch there are, but there are no wolves are not native to that part of Utah.
Right. Did you ever see any skinwalkers?
This is the money question, and I know that a lot of people that have listened thus far, usually when this story happens, people start questioning my sanity. I have seen one, yes.
Oh my gosh, we got 5.5 minutes. You got to tell me about this.
Okay, I was walking on between the gates from the west gate from the east gate to the west gate. I'm at the west gate. It's a beautiful evening. It's fall, and so I feel as I'm walking back towards the house, I feel a very strong sense of being watched, and the whole thing, the hair goes up, you got the tingle, you start hyperventilating, you got physiological symptoms of there's something is not in order, especially up there. You develop, your inner radar becomes very, very pronounced. You develop a lot of strong sense of your surroundings. And I feel that there's something, and I look up on the top of the mesa, and there's a man standing there, and clearly a man. I mean, it's about 7:30 at night. It's twilighty, but it's still enough light where I can clearly identify there's a person standing up on the ridge. It's a very steep part of the ridge. It's right about the second canal crossing, which always had a weird power zone to it, and measurable, I might add, with meters. We can meter it, and so I'm actually engaging in conversation with him. I was like, hey, what are you doing up there? Hey, who are you? Because I thought either it was a rancher looking for lost cattle, which happened every once in a while, or it was a trespasser, like a ranch tourist. So I addressed him. It's like, hey, man, what's up? What are you doing? And he looked at me. I had a small pair of binoculars on me, which I looked at him through, and I could see clearly his clothing. I could see he was a man, just a normal, regular dude standing on the ridge. But he would not answer me. He would not say anything to me. So then he turned east, perfectly east, and would put his arms out. I mean, this whole thing has been going on for probably about 90 seconds, 2 minutes, somewhere there. 2.5 minutes. It's hard to track time when these things happen, but about 2.5 minutes, somewhere there. And so he puts his arms out in a straight fashion, like as if he was like almost pushing out or reaching for something. And he bends at the waist, and the waist only. He doesn't use any knees or anything. It's a very unnatural looking movement that he's doing. And he's looking at me, and then he's continuing leaning forward. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, he's going to fall. The mesa there is steep, and he's going to kill himself. This is nuts. I don't want, I don't want to be responsible for a dude falling off the mesa. So I'm calling out to him and say, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so he actually is losing balance. And as he connects with his palms to the ground, I'm looking at a canine. I'm looking at a wolf. I know what a wolf looks like. I've come across them while hunting in New Mexico. And so I'm standing there, and I'm just like, I can't even really fathom what just happened. So he's sitting there. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm thinking, this is the craziest thing that's never going to be – nobody's ever going to believe this. And so at this point, a very, very powerful electric storm is moving in. There's lightning everywhere, and it started pouring rain. And he starts walking down the ridgeline towards the eastern gate direction, and then he disappears behind a rock outcrop. I'm standing there. I am GPSing my location. I'm GPSing projected where he was at. There's a electric pole, so I took that as the nearest unmovable object, took the number of the electric pole, took pictures of the area after the fact, because when this all happened, the very last thing on my mind was the camera didn't even come to my mind. I wasn't even thinking about I had a camera on me. So I go back to the house eventually. I'm soaking wet, and I see him again. As I'm entering the house, he's standing there, and then he's walking into the part to the north of the mesa, and he disappears. I don't see him anymore. So I go in, I call my boss. I actually called Colin on this. I said, hey, this is what just happened. I know this sounds like absolutely nuts. I swear to God, this is what just happened. So I'm sitting down, I'm writing this report as I am remembering it, like second by second. Next morning, I can't sleep that night. I go up on the ridge, and I am looking for any kind of evidence. And lo and behold, there are human tracks walking up to the spot where I saw him. It's a big clay area. There's parts of the mesa that are vegetation on them. Others are like rocky. This was just a big clay plate of nothing. And you could see human tracks walking up, and you could see canine tracks walking away. And the canine tracks were in a linear fashion. So I started measuring everything from the depth compared to my weight, what I would leave as a track. I started measuring each and every track. I scooped up the top layer of soil for possible DNA evidence. I scoped up tons of the area around it for possible hair.
Chris, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to come back to your Skinwalker story on Spaced Out Radio as we start the second half of the show right after this. Looking for the stories of the strange and weird that you will find hard to find anywhere else? Check out the SOR Newswire on our website. Our writers, led by Captain Shirk, are scouring the world for the oddest and most bizarre stories we can find. Everything from weird crime to suspenseful and paranormal. We're working hard for you to bring you the most intriguing news of your day. Check out the SOR Newswire at spacedoutradio.com today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're bringing you something new to the documentary world. Beyond the Spectrum will take you on an historic tour of topics like no other. Sasquatch, UFOs, government secrecy, and more, keeping you on the edge of your seats through the eyes of legendary truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Richard Dolan, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and Jack Kasher. Head on over to Amazon Prime or Tubi TV and check us out. Please leave a comment for the filmmakers on their film's Amazon page. Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Coming up this September 21st and 22nd, all UFO eyes will be focused on Toronto for the 4th Annual Alien Cosmic Expo. Come listen to some of the biggest names and experiencers in ufology. Travis Walton, Paul Hellyer, Richard Dolan, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Randy Kramer, and Spaced Out Radio's own Dave Scott. Tickets are on sale now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, hanging out with all of you from the frozen Canadian tundra. Thank you so much for tuning us in tonight. I want to remind you, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can always go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Fill out a Sightlines report if you've had something strange happen. And, of course, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR News Wire. Talking Skinwalker Ranch tonight on Spaced Out Radio with Erica Lukes and Chris Marx, newly minted fiancés here. First announced here on Spaced Out Radio tonight. Congratulations, you two. And thank you for coming on to talk about the Skinwalker Ranch.
We love it. We're really happy to be here. Thank you.
Yep.
Like we've mentioned before, we care very deeply about not only the ranch and the people involved and studying it now. They're doing amazing work up there. History just greenlit a show about the ranch, which will be very, very cool. They're not beholden to the government like Bigelow was, and so more information will be getting released. And it's an exciting time with regard to getting information out. So yay.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Now, right before the break, Chris, you were detailing a story very finely about your interaction with an actual skinwalker at the Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, I think where I had left off is I went back up the next morning because, like I said earlier, I'm not taken by, oh my God, I think I saw something. I want to, first of all, try to debunk myself. And maybe my mind was just doing something crazy. Maybe, I just wanted to make sure that maybe there was something that I could actually document. So I went up there and, I told you about the tracks that were clearly present. I was worried about the rainstorm, that it would have washed them away, but they were still there. So I measured everything, of course. These tracks were approximately 6 inches in length and about 5.5 inches in width. They were about an inch deep into the soil. Somebody had asked, the tail, when I saw the animal, was down. I collected soil samples from within the tracks, especially where you have the paws touching or rubbing the dirt. The individual pads of a canine. And then I measured the gait, which was about 33 inches of the human and somewhere, I want to say about 17 inches, somewhere there. I got the report still. I'm going to put that all out there. I GPSed the whole thing. And then last but not least, I took orange-colored fluorescent spray paint and applied a mist over some of the better tracks and was able to capture more detail, used a very long shutter speed and special lenses on the Canon, and used a couple of filters, and was able to get actual nail imprints. I got very, very clear pictures of those tracks. We then sent them to 2 different veterinarians to analyze what they thought made those tracks. And they both came back that these were most likely wolf tracks by size and also by the way they were linear, in line. I guess all other canines have offset tracks, but the wolf has a linear track. So they came back saying that's most likely wolf. And where were they taken? And when they heard, I'm not sure if they disclosed location or not. But, they came back saying this was pretty sure a wolf that made those tracks. And so, there were things leading up to all of this. This just didn't come out of the blue. There were some experiments I did leading up for several months. To include meditation, and I used some very non-conventional methods to, again, solicit answers. I wanted communication. That was the whole thing. I wanted to communicate. And I actually achieved communication on several levels, some really other ways than I had anticipated. But nonetheless, there was some form of a communication that took place, and I built that over years. It didn't just happen. But Erica also had some really good experiences up there, and do you want to share some of those, Erica?
I have been fortunate enough to be involved with adamantium. I was contacted by the owner of the ranch 3 years ago, right after he'd purchased the property, and spent several months getting to know him, getting his trust, and letting him know that I wasn't somebody that was simply in this just to give information out, that I was a trustworthy person and I cared very deeply about the work that I do. And so I had a wonderful opportunity to stay at the ranch for a few nights, and that's that story. There's a story there that I am not sure if I will be divulging or when. I'm hoping I will, and I would really love to do that. But there was also a time when I was up there. I had just gone up there. It was last fall. I was interviewing Junior Hicks, and he is, if you don't know who Junior Hicks is, he is, in my opinion, one of the biggest heroes in archiving, preserving the subject matter for the Uinta Basin. He was the subject of a book called The Utah UFO Display with Dr. Frank Salisbury, which in my opinion is the best book on the Uinta Basin and that area, because it chronicles the work of Junior Hicks with regard to him investigating all of these sightings that had taken place in the Uinta Basin from the 60s on. Junior has now over 700 reports. He was given reports by people in the community, by police officers, tribal police, and so forth. And he was a high school science teacher and established a great rapport with the community, and so they trusted him. And I went up to do an interview with him, and it was such a special moment for me to actually sit there with him and to be able to express my gratitude for everything that he has done to preserve that very unique history. It was incredible. And to just backtrack, I also have spent a considerable amount of time at the University of Utah Special Archives, where they house Dr. Frank Salisbury's work. They have 70 cartons of all of the work he did in the UFO subject. Both of these men were devout Mormons, and so it was interesting to talk to them and to hear how, especially when looking through Salisbury's work, his letters and communications, how they grappled with being Mormon and then some of these complex issues about dealing with other entities. But I had gone up there, interviewed Hicks, and I have a family that I've worked with in the basin. 3 generations of families I've been detailing and interviewing for a long time. And this one fellow, the son, gave me a great lookout place that I could go to the ranch and just observe things, which I did. And we had rolled in there, and there was a lightning storm that was moving across that area. And it was just one of those nights where you could just feel that electricity in the air. It was like mesmerizing. And we got to this location, we set up our equipment, and I noticed that it was over by the old homestead. There was a light that was shining up on the mesa, and I thought it was very interesting. And so I okay, is this a car light? Well, this is the way the road would run. Could this be somebody with a spotlight? A, B, C, and D. And as a good investigator, you have to put things through the paces to try to eliminate things. But I just sat there, we watched it, and this light moved along, and then all of a sudden there was this luminescent mist that started forming, and it moved and it expanded, and it came across the field where the bait pins were, and it moved towards us, and it surrounded us. And when it surrounded us, we couldn't really, the sounds in the surrounding environment were muffled, and the temperature dropped by about 10 degrees from what it felt like. and then this mist or whatever it was retreated, and then you could see it move back and then move again, this light along the ridge line. And I communicated during that time with the owners of the ranch. I'm like, hey, what have you got going on at the ranch? Is it A, B, C, and D? I want to rule things out. And so they didn't have anybody that would have been doing anything on the property at that time that I was witnessing this and taking photos and taking video and whatnot. And so this happened for over an hour. And at one point in the evening, there were these amber orange balls of light, the anomalous light phenomenon like you would see over in Heshdal in Norway or in the Yakima Indian Reservation in Washington State, different places that have actually been studied. But there was a light that was hovering above Skinwalker Ridge, which is the ridge that, according to people that worked for NIDS, is where objects would move in and out of. And so I watched this, and then at one point in time, there was another ball of light that was below it on the mountain, and there was a almost like this zap of electricity, this jolt of electricity that went from one of the objects to the other. And we just sat there. I mean, it was just like, okay. And you can hear the excitement and the absolute shock in our voices as we watched this. And it to me, honestly, and I don't know, it might not make any sense to anybody else, but I honestly felt that this was almost a security sensor for whatever was on that property or in that area, and that it was coming out and it was feeling and sensing us and determining its course of action, whether we were good or bad or what our intentions were. And it was a very powerful thing. We came back from that experience and we were both very, very drained. It took us a few days to recover. And there were residual energies in our environment after the woman that I was with had times when her doorbell would just start ringing and there would be nobody there, or she would see balls of light in her hallway. I had very strange things happen with all my electrical appliances and TV and different things. And so it was really very, very profound. And that area, once whatever that is or they are, gets into you, you have a connection that is permanent. It doesn't just go away. It connects to you.
Freaky.
How's that for you?
Well, don't forget the crashes that have happened.
Oh yeah, and the crashes too. I mean, and that's an interesting thing. Chris brings that up. When I came back from the first trip, I mean, there would be times when, it sounded like a car was driving through. It just driving through my house, and it's like there's nothing here. And when Chris and I just got back from our second to last trip up by the basin, up by Skinwalker Ranch, we had a similar experience where we would hear crashes and nothing would happen. And that was also reported by people that were working for Bigelow on the Skinwalker Ranch property. They would come home and have similar types of events happen.
The idea is it might follow, actually. Some of it will be kind of, I know it sounds very cliche, but things start happening where it sounds like in the middle of the night, your kitchen cabinetry is emptying itself onto the floor. And then you get up, thinking maybe somebody broke in, it's 2 a.m, and nothing is disturbed. Nothing at all has changed. And you cannot figure out where that is coming from. But Eric and I have heard this twice now here in our place. It's very distinct.
Absolutely. And yeah, it is interesting. It does follow you home. It knows you. It senses when you're coming back. You connect with it. And I think luckily both Chris and I have had relatively positive experiences. I think both because we went into this place, or we go into places. I've been all over the world to do similar research. And when I go in there, I'm always very respectful because I know that there are powers there that are much greater than I am. And I want to make sure that I'm not going in there like some other idiots do that want to do paranormal work or want to go up to Skinwalker Ranch and try to exploit it. And that never works out for you in the end, because you go into these power places and you get what you bring. And that doesn't work out for you sometimes.
Claudia has a question in the SOR Space Travelers on Facebook. She is asking, do you think out at the Skinwalker Ranch there are portals that are open and things come through there?
Absolutely. Dr. Eric Davis was on my radio show, UFO Classified, and talked about a time where he he was out there in the evening and had infrared equipment, and they witnessed a large portal opening up, and it appeared like it was a tunnel, and out of that portal a creature crawled out of it, and then it just disappeared, but the creature was still on the ground on the property somewhere. And so yes, there are things that open up, and it's curious. And the more I research about all of this, the more I believe that could be happening all over the world, and especially in these powerful places, these window areas, as John Keel would call them.
Interesting. Is it just paranormal that's coming out of there? Demons, Bigfoot, UFOs, and aliens?
You know what? And this is the hard thing. I wish I could say that it was, I wish I could put it in a box and say, this was Grandma Moses back from the dead for a night to party. I wish I could say that this is, E.T. I wish, but I can't. And I honestly think anybody who tries to label this is completely insane. I understand and I can see that there are religious and political factions that have inserted themselves into the narrative since Roswell. It's been very clear. They've tried to dominate it and lead and steer and manipulate. But I can't say, and there's a big push right now for this demonic kind of stuff. And then you see the To the Stars Academy and the threat, and all of this stuff. And so I think there are different factions that push different narratives. So according to their belief systems. And I think that's dangerous, to say the least. We don't know what it is at the end of the day, but we do know whatever this is, whatever they are, has been interacting with us since the beginning of recorded history. And we're still here. So we need to remember that this topic can be used to manipulate public perception and to instill a sense of fear and to control. And so for me, at the end of the day, I know that my experiences have been profound. I feel blessed that I've had them. I want to keep having more. I don't feel, there are times I felt a little afraid, because this is something so out of your element. You don't know what it is. It takes a minute or days, whatever, to grapple with and to deal with. But I think that ultimately it's a beautiful thing. It's empowering. And I really hate that other people would try to tell me that it's a threat. And I think, unfortunately, because of all of this garbage that has been allowed to proliferate in the Skinwalker area, that a lot of people have created this sense of fear when it shouldn't necessarily. It's a powerful place. It will mess with you, but it's also a beautiful place. And so anyway, that's my whole spiel. Thank you for listening.
No worries. No worries. We got about 2.5 minutes here before we need to go to break here at the top of the hour. Chris, I want to ask you, did you ever see any extraterrestrials?
I don't know. I don't know what I would be looking at. I have documented animals that don't have a body temperature based on thermal imaging, based on NVG and so forth. But the strongest on thermal imaging that I have clearly documented with a camera and the naked eye that I cannot document through thermal imaging or any kind of other equipment. Are they? I don't know what they are. Could it be extraterrestrial? I guess it could be. Could it be spirit-based? I guess it could be. that's the thing where when we talk extraterrestrial, do we always just think like little gray guys with slanty eyes that come out of a flying saucer? Or could it be something that's with us, that is already here, that is manifesting in different forms and shapes? I guess that would be the $1 million question. And I think we're too narrow-minded when we talk ET, that we think it's got to be the gray dude that comes out of a saucer. It could be something else. Mr. Bigelow made a comment a while back on 60 Minutes where he said they are here, they are among us, and I do agree with him. I think it's hard to stereotype. Like Erica said, you can't put it in a box, but it's definitely something that you can measure. It's tangible. It leaves tracks. It does not have a body temperature. You cannot document it by thermal imaging, but you can document it by naked eye and a camera. I don't know. That's why I back away from trying to come up with conclusions. I really don't have any. I don't know anything. The only thing that I've done, I shifted very early on while I was up at the ranch from trying to figure out what it is to simply accepting the fact that I am just going to be the best witness I can be and document it the best I can be. Erica has I don't know how many hundreds of pages of my reports. We have close to 1,000 pictures and documentation of the actual scientific approach. So it's tangible, but what it is, I think I won't know. I don't think we'll ever know unless it wants it to be known.
What do you think, as we only got about 30 seconds, what do you think it is? And we might have to carry that answer across the board here. But what do you think it is?
I think it is a plethora of things.
Nice use of plethora, by the way. Nice use.
Thank you. You're
welcome. Favorite
That's
word.
Impressive.
Erica's right. It is different entities that manifest differently in different locations. It is not all the same. And what's causing it, I don't know. I don't even know why it's manifesting on the ranch the way it is. But now there's also a lot of Masonic type chiselings and stuff in the walls. Right. Does that have to do with it? I don't know. I mean, is there a connection? Who knows? I mean, it's simply, I guess it's something you just got to document. And I wish more people that actually worked the ranch would come forward and share and create some sort of a communal database where you can bounce these things, but everybody's holding on so tight to their own info.
Absolutely.
I gotta cut you guys off right there. We're about to leave for commercial. Hour 3, more Skinwalker talk coming up after this on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
we're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Come hang out with me, Little Richie G, as I take over the airwaves on Spaced Out Saturdays. This is Rich Giordano, and I'm going to bring you the most fun on the radio you can have with your clothes on. We're going to get to the heart of the subjects from UFOs to what's going on in the paranormal and everything in between. So come join me at spacedoutradio.com, starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, for the fastest 3 hours of your week.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Looking for something new to push your limits? Look Beyond the Spectrum, a new docuseries featuring some of the best researchers in the world when it comes to everything from UFOs, government cover-ups, and Bigfoot in the forest. Truth seekers like Steve Bassett, Dr. Jeff Meldrum, Richard Dolan, as well as others all chip in to bring their knowledge to you. Beyond the Spectrum can be found on Amazon as well as Tubi TV. Tell us what you think on our Amazon page.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our digital stations, Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Great to have you with us. We're also on terrestrial, WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia, UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans, down in Reedsport, Oregon, KDUN AM 1030, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, and we're on in Ridgecrest, California, KZFX 93.7 FM. Now, I also want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, we have our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, and we got more coming very, very soon. Special shout out tonight to everyone listening in who is new to this show. Annie, Sparky, thank you so much for tuning us in. Appreciate it. Always a pleasure to learn new listeners. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. Make sure you go check it out sometime soon. We're talking Skinwalker Ranch tonight. For the next half hour, we have Erica Lukes and Chris Marx here as they are breaking it all down on what is happening in the Uinta Basin. It is some strange, strange stuff happening there. I got a question that I'm going to start off with right off the bat here. Let me get to it here. It's from COG. Asking about the human mutilations. Are these real, Chris? Or are they just fallacy?
Human mutilations, that has never happened there. No.
Animal mutilations?
There were cattle mutilations. Not while I was there. That happened prior to me coming up there. So I have never seen one. I know that Dr. Kelleher has documented them. So I trust his, his judgment and his documentation. I know they were analyzed at several different labs. So yeah, they did happen.
That's just freaky.
Yeah.
I don't even know what would cause that. I mean, the poor cows.
Well, here's the thing, because there's always these rumors, or it's a government thing, it's a conspiracy. And tell you what, number one, it's like if you ever try to walk up on a cow in a herd, good luck. They're pretty feisty. I mean, they're pretty observant what's happening around them. And number two, if I were a government entity that wanted to study, for whatever reason, a cow of the area, I'd just go and buy one and take it to my lab and do whatever I want to do. So it's kind of freaky, yeah.
Erica, I got a question from Jade here. She is asking, in regards to the Skinwalker Ranch, do you think the ESETI Ranch of James Gilliland's is much the same in Washington State?
You know what? And that's a great question. I mean, there are places that are power places, that are window areas. There are places like that. There's a great Italian astrophysicist, Dr. Massimo Teodorani, who has done considerable work in these different locations around the world that have similar types of phenomena. And so I think that ECETI is another one of those places, that whole area up there. It's very close to the Yakima Indian Reservation. And they have, Greg Long wrote a great book called Examining the Earthlight Mysteries, and that was all about the very bizarre experiences recorded by people working at the fire lookouts up there. And it's very similar things to Skinwalker Ranch. So I think that there are areas that have the same types of things, and that's really what we need to look at. I think a lot of times we are so stupid, narrowly focused on, we're going to sit behind a computer and we're going to wait for the one big UFO story, or we're going to dwell on Roswell or Rendlesham, when it's like, if you look at the patterns of things, this is what we should be looking at. We should be looking at specific locations around the world that are hot spots, that we're seeing the same types of things happen. We should be gathering the history and then doing field research. That's what we really need to do. I know that I actually lectured 3 years ago, I believe, at ECETI, and that is a very powerful place. There is an energy there that you can feel, and it was interesting to see, because I was there for almost a week, to see people, how when they came onto the property, how they interacted with it. And it either made some people kind of physically ill. It messes with you. And so I just think people need to be more cognizant of that. And we need to be a little bit more forward thinking with regard to research, instead of waiting for the one golden nugget, or focusing on cases that happened 50 years ago in just a single case. It's all of the data. If we study it and look at the patterns, that is really the thing that we need to focus on.
All right, let's move on to a lot of the experiences that people are having there. Earlier, we talked about the Skinwalker that you saw, Chris, and Erica, we heard about your experiences. Outside of your own experiences that you have heard and seen, are we getting a little bit of everything there? Are we getting the reports of aliens walking around? Are we getting reports of Sasquatch or Dogman? Are we getting a lot of paranormal activity, whether it's demonic, whether it's just pissed off spirits? Is it just a real hub for absolutely everything?
It is. It was interesting, because when I met with Junior for that interview, he told me about a story that he had experienced a few years prior, where he was up there and there were 3 men, I believe, that were out late one night, and they were on the Indian reservation, and they were driving, and they noticed all of a sudden they saw this winged creature, and it was flying, next to the car, and it landed on the hood and literally reached in the window. There was a crack in the window, reached in the window and grabbed the driver and scraped him. And somebody in the car took a series of pictures of this creature, and apparently they finally got it to leave. But then they were driving past some tribal police, and they said, "Help! Can you help our friend? He's dying. He's been injured." And they said, "Keep driving. You got to just leave. Get out of here." Took him back to the house where they called it a medicine man, who came in and offered prayers and advice and tried to really run some defense here. Junior Hicks was called to that event, saw the wounds on this man, and saw the absolute terror that he was experiencing, and the fright of his friends. And the medicine man said, they all saw the pictures, and Junior said that you could see the face of a creature with glowing red eyes, long fingernails. I mean, it sounds just like out of a bad movie. It sounds like it's a scene out of Jeepers Creepers. But the medicine man told this fellow, you have to destroy the evidence, burn the photos, get rid of it, or this will keep haunting you and be very detrimental in your life. And so, there are these kinds of stories that have been documented. Whether they're factual or not, I don't know, but I certainly believe, Junior was I felt being very forthright when he told the story.
You know what, Erica, I just remembered a story that actually happened. I think it was either early bass or late nids. A similar creature they said it looked like a gargoyle. It was observed by a BIA police officer in his backyard. It was sitting on top of this shed, the equipment shed he had. He saw it, his wife saw it. I believe they even took pictures of it. They contacted Bass because we also investigated off property. I mean, if you had something that you needed investigated or had questions, we would come out and we would investigate cases that were not necessarily just on the ranch. And they actually, I wasn't part of that team that investigated this one, but I've heard all the detailed story. They actually went and took the roof of this equipment shed off and took it to be analyzed. And it's probably sitting in one of the bass vaults at this point, but same story. I mean, different time, different people involved, but essentially the same gargoyle-looking thing that is apparently out there someplace.
Wow.
Forget it. I don't think I ever told you that.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Never told you that.
We have more work to do up there.
Yeah.
Earlier, you guys had mentioned about the energy that seems to permeate around the Skinwalker Ranch. And this leads to Claudia's question. She is asking, could it be that when someone is in the area of the Skinwalker Ranch, that the electromagnetic field amplifies the energy of the person that is there and can read what's inside the person's genetic memory and bring these images forward, or brings forward the thought and images from the person's consciousness?
You know what? That's a really great and profound question. And I want to just throw this out there. Dr. Barry Taff, who has done a great deal of parapsychology. He's a parapsychologist who worked at UCLA back in the 70s when they actually studied parapsychology. And if you ever watched the movie The Entity with Barbara Hershey, one of my all-time favorite horror flicks, he investigated the Entity case. And he talks a lot about electromagnetic fields and things. And I will ask him specifically that question on the show, because if anybody would have a great answer to that, it would be Dr. Barry Taff.
I can, on that part, I can also bring one of the experiments we did up there, because we identified 13 very profound areas of that type of power, of electromagnetic power. There are zones, there are geographically limited to certain parts of the ranch. You walk in, not all the time, but often, you can feel almost like peeing on a kettle fence type experience, where all of a sudden you feel charged. And I noticed a lot of times, the battery in my camera would usually produce about 580 some pictures. You walk in, all of a sudden, after 20 pictures, it's done. It's depleted. Me and a nuclear physicist that worked an experiment up there together, we hooked up, daisy-chained 8 laptops, which were measuring electromagnetic pulse. And these were genuine, good laptops. We charged them up. We hooked them up at one of these places at the Middle Homestead, at Homestead 2, and turned them on all simultaneously. And within the first minute, there was nothing. After about 90 seconds, there was a spike that was off the chart that was so quick that the measuring device, we got a readout on it. And then all laptops, all 8 of them, were dead. The battery was dead. And so we would go back, charge them back up, come back out, do the same thing. We did this for a week. with the same result, which means the result was, yes, there is a very, very powerful electromagnetic frequency that will produce itself. So, I can't wait to actually hear the answer of Barry Taft on that.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful. He wrote a great book a few years ago called Aliens Above, Ghosts Below, and talks a lot about how similar all of these things are, and with relation to electromagnetic fields and different experiences that people have when they're in areas that have higher readings. So it's cool. There's so many complex questions and so many great places to go that we need to be looking at. So
many people, Erica and Chris, have had or heard, members of Bass say nothing happened there. That's why we sold out. That's why we pulled out of the ranch, because we didn't really get what we thought we were going to get, so on and so forth. And I find it very contradictory, because other members like John Alexander have stated that he stated on this show, whatever you read about what happened at Skinwalker Ranch is true. But they would never say what. So my question is, if Bass pulled out of this for the sake that nothing was happening there, what is the purpose then of this new group that has taken over the last couple of years since 2016? And why still hold these secret experiments?
So here's that, and that's a great question. And Chris and I had a very lengthy discussion about this, and I think this is probably the first time that this thought has been aired. But Chris mentioned that they pulled out because they no longer felt it was extraterrestrial in origin.
Yeah, I think the investigation changed into a more unconventional field. We started using Ouija. We started using more occult-based techniques. I know it's a broad spectrum. There were, when Bass was dissolved, aerospace guards were sent up there. A lot of them, it's really sad. Spent their 2 weeks up there playing, Call of Duty or whatever, and did either not go out, didn't care. It was for the paycheck, not for the research. And I believe that the style that we were turning into was a slippery slope. And while some people were really thrilled about it, and it produced more results than all the high-tech gear, meditation. And for example, there are some places that had a really positive energy. There are some that they're darker or dark, and some places are very, very positive. And I would start by going out there and sleeping out there, because I figured that was the only way I could totally open my mind and shut down all my defenses and let whatever it is that I trusted was a good, positive force come and enlighten me. And I would always ask to teach me. I want to learn. I don't want to exploit. I don't want to, I simply want to learn. I want to communicate. I would like to communicate. And it started pretty harmlessly by me just going out there and sleeping, overnighting without, a tent out in the East Valley, which I feel is a very sacred spot. And then it would go into detailed, purpose-driven meditation. It would go into the use of Ouija. It took a turn that was no longer really just like your run-of-the-mill scientific. It took a turn into something else. But it produced a lot more result in interacting and in conversation with it than $1 million fancy scientific hookup that would be out-tricked by it every single time.
But I have to say, though, that now Adamantium, I mean, they have really stepped up their game.
Yeah.
And I think that they've learned a lot of lessons from what took place there with bass and different things. And so they're a little bit more progressive in that regard. And from what I understand, from the little bits that I've been able to see behind the scenes, they have had some pretty profound results with what they're getting in their research.
As a matter of fact, that by itself speaks for itself. What they're doing is a whole different style of going at it, and they are having a slew of things that are happening right now. It's not that the ranch went dormant. It never did. It has never gone dormant. And there's going to be a History Channel, I guess.
The History Channel is coming out a series on it, which will be wonderful. And I think it's a sacred place. And I wonder if lots of things are still happening. And I think a lot of it has to do with the people that are there. And what are they an antenna? Are they bringing things into it? I think from what I understand, there have been scientific studies done about experiencers and people that are these antennas. And I think both you and I are, because we've experienced things separately and together. And so I look forward to the time when you and I can actually get out to the ranch and see what we can muster out. That'd be good.
And that'll happen pretty quickly. It really depends on what you focus on. And it also depends if you're willing to be there to. Another thing you got to keep in mind, Dave, is people see something and they don't want to see it. They say because it's the ridicule, it's the crazy factor. It's like, hey, you're nuts. You saw this. Oh, yeah, whatever. You're crazy or unbelievable, or you're not believable, or you're not realistic, or you're making this up for whatever reason, personal gain, interest mongering. So a lot of people that have – and I've talked to several of them, coworkers, that would never, ever, ever go on record talking about this. But when you sit in the back room and talk, oh my God,
I bet
they just they're not talking about it because they don't want to get troll hunted.
It's their job. It's their job. Chris, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you tonight. Erica, as always, a pleasure to have the honor and opportunity to speak with you again.
I'm back at you.
And we got to start wrapping this thing up because, unfortunately, we are at that time where we got to say goodnight to you guys.
I know, and it goes by so quickly. And I love being on your show. I have so much fun. And I'm happy that Chris got to be here tonight because he has a very important story to tell.
Well, we need to get into more of that story. And as you guys continue your research, I hope you come back on. Thank you so much for joining us, Erica Lukes, Chris Marx. Good luck in your future marriage.
Well,
thanks,
thank
Dave.
you. And maybe
Thanks,
we'll
Dave.
post some pictures.
Yep, and thanks for having us on. It was awesome. I really appreciate the opportunity. And there's going to be more. We're not going away. We're here to stay.
Good.
And scare some.
Good.
Canada's largest UFO conference is ready to roll in Toronto this September 21st and 22nd at the Alien Cosmic Expo. This year is about the experience. Listen to the stories of Dave Scott, Travis Walton, Paula Harris, Grant Cameron, Ryan Stacey, Richard Dolan, Leslie Mitchell-Clark, and more. Get your tickets now at aliencosmicexpo.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
At spacedoutradio.com, we have a little bit of everything for you to stay up late. So while you're there, check out our SOR Newswire, where our team brings you stories of the weird and strange to the WTF from around the globe. News on Bigfoot, UFOs, paranormal, Darwinian-type crime tales. It's the stories that the mainstream media usually won't touch. Well, we got them all on the SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com. The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Every night on Spaced Out Radio, we have places for you to hang out. Hi, this is Carl. Join our SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook for live chat. On Twitter, using hashtag Spaced Out Radio, you can also join us in our Spreaker chat room. Check us out on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. All of our archives are free on YouTube at Spaced Out Radio. By the way, I'll be watching you at your window until you do. Bye!
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. So glad to have each and every one of you with us. Remember, if you've missed portions of this show or others, go check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, has a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, listening to Bumblefoot and some of his great tracks, including our theme songs. And we're going to be adding more here coming in the next couple of weeks. We're going to fire up a store again. We're going to bring out some really, really cool swag. We are starting to design as of the next day or two. So stay tuned. There might be a brand new Peak Woo t-shirt coming along just for you guys. Get into the news. Oh, and there will be a Team Stump t-shirt too. Let's get to the news, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, those head scratchers we may not like, but hey, we get to them anyways because that's who we are. We're going to start right off the bat with Florida Man here. I mean, I don't know if I completely think he screwed up here, all right? I really don't. I think this is a little bit, I don't know. You be the judge. You be the judge here. So apparently, Florida Man has been charged on battery charges, okay, claiming that he wasn't drunk, but police say he was. Why did he get arrested? Well, according to an affidavit, he gave his girlfriend a wet willy. Battery charges for a wet willy. For those of you who don't know what a wet willy is, that's where you lick your finger and you stick it in someone's ear. So when the victim arrived home from work, she discovered her boyfriend, 47-year-old Joseph Cerecci, drunk and lying on the living room floor. The two went to another person's house, along with the victim's daughter, where Cerecci continued to drink and be belligerent. On the way home, the Florida Man allegedly pulled on his girlfriend's arm and gave her a wet willy, sticking his finger in her ear. The daughter corroborated the claim. Apparently, we now have charges for a wet willy. Look, I am very much not into harming other people. All right? It's a wet willy. You weren't going to die. You weren't going to have that finger go right through the other ear. Wasn't trying to pick. I mean, can you imagine if he tried to pick her nose? Holy cow. Aggravated battery for a wet willy? Is that what we've come to? We've become so sensitive? Look, everybody has their right to their own private space. I fully agree with that. Fully agree with that. But a wet willy and you're going to ruin this guy's life? Sure, he may be an idiot. For sure, he may be an idiot. But charging him with battery for a wet willy? This is the kind of story that eats up valuable court time, where real criminals get off their charges because we're overloading the courts with stupidity. a wet willy and you're calling the cops? Don't get it. Don't get it. I'm sticking with Florida man on this one. I'm choosing sides. A Canadian man reportedly hopped in his car and left his sentencing hearing in the province in Ontario just moments after a judge told him he wasn't allowed to drive for the next year. The 35-year-old was a convicted drunk driver. He left the courtroom promptly after he was ordered not to drive, but soon after he left, the man reportedly drove away from the courthouse despite being sentenced moments prior. A police officer happened to be in the room when he was sentenced, spotted the man, and he was pulled over. He was then charged with operation while prohibited and is scheduled to appear at court again September 30th. Yes, we have morons up here too. Absolutely we do. All right. A Texas man has inadvertently become a viral domestic god after a social media spoof of sexy what women want housework pictures caused some hearts to flutter. Michael Unk from Plato, Texas, posted a series of 7 images on his Facebook account thanks to his come to bed with me eyes while snapping images of himself in scenarios such as dishwashing, dog walking, sweeping the floors. Yeah, the business owner practically had women out eating out of his palm with his sparkly clean housing. Yes. Oh my gosh, he's even taken a picture of loading the washer. Holy cow. You know, this guy is making a lot of us look bad right now. He may be the apple of a lot of women's eyes, but all of us men are shaking our fists at him saying, oh, you jerk, ruining it all for us. Yeah, apparently he has a roof repair business and a girlfriend. Did this out of fun, but yeah, house was a mess, so he figured he would take some pictures, even included some topless selfies in there. I don't know if we could trust this guy. Sounds like a soccer player. Definitely sounds like a soccer player. All right. Let's head on over to Australia. A notorious magpie whose habit of swooping on passers-by in Sydney led to dozens of complaints was shot dead, prompting an outcry from magpie lovers. The local council defended the shooting, the particularly aggressive bird, saying the decision was not taken lightly. The magpie had attacked people in the Hillshire area, sending some to hospital. The Australian magpie is a different species to the European bird, which it shares its name. During mating season, the Australian magpie becomes aggressive, attacks humans crossing its territory. But the species is protected by law and can only be dealt with by local authorities. Well, they decided to shoot it after more than 40 complaints. Council said one resident suffered a heart attack following an attack. Yeah, this bird, it was on a kill page. Had to get rid of it. Its nickname was Windsor Road Monster after carrying out such attacks over several years. Years they let this go on. Years. Council went on to say the shooting was the last resort, but many magpie enthusiasts and animal lovers were unhappy with the decision. Wildlife magazine Australian Geographic quoted bird expert Daryl Jones saying that magpies were quite possibly the easiest birds to catch, and that he was not very impressed with the shooting of the troublesome bird. There was even a Facebook group. Oh, you know, if it gets to Facebook, it's got to be done. You cannot argue with somebody who is giving their complaints on Facebook. Well, yeah. Apparently, they're calling the council sickening, making brutal knee-jerk reactions. Yeah, this one's going to go on for a while. People are pissed off that the bird is dead. Kind of am too. Established in 2017, the Tusa Stars Academy is a shareholder-based organization focused on research and technological exploitation of unidentified aerial phenomena, but where some see cutting-edge team pushing the frontiers of scientific knowledge, others, especially the media in the mainstream, see a harebrained investment scheme of uncertain form. What is the truth? The group is closest to being described as a cutting-edge team, but there are a couple of concerns that are making critics Wonder what's going on. Apparently, Tom DeLonge is less bound to the data than his colleagues. This undercuts DeLonge's better work that the TTSA's impressive leadership team has. The team includes Steve Justice, a 31-year veteran of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, Luis Elizondo, who we mentioned. Yeah, so apparently here, in this article, they go on to say the TTSA deserves credit for investigating UFOs with seriousness and bringing it to the public forefront. However, they're complaining about some issues. Goes on to say, while DeLonge deserves praise for getting his team together, questionable, that's my comment there, and for bringing the issue into the public space, he has at times lost focus of the mission. When, for example, DeLonge connects the mythological city of Atlantis to UFOs, he casts doubt in everything he says. That's a problem for DeLonge as much as his organization. After all, DeLonge went on to much offer on this issue. In the same interview where he mentioned Atlantis, for example, DeLonge offered a simple but accurate explanation of space-time manipulation as a theoretical means of travel. Another problem, according to this article, TTSA's transparency. Apart from a few select journalists, TTSA does not make it any easier for other media outlets to talk to its officers. While TTSA has suffered some unfair reporting, this reflex towards secrecy is inconsistent with the group's stated mission to pursue visible research. The lack of transparency also matters in the TTSA's model, but is built around attracting private investment. So where does this leave everyone? According to the writer, TTSA is doing important work, but when you are trying to persuade the public that UFOs are the real issue, people's credibility is crucial. TTSA should be more open and DeLonge more careful with what he says. Now, this was written by Tom Rogan, who writes for the Washington Examiner, looking into the UFO front. Here's something cool. SpaceX has fired up the rocket that will launch the first crewed mission into the company's history. The company conducted a static fire test today, or a week ago, of a Falcon 9 rocket at SpaceX testing grounds in Texas. Company representative said the booster will send the Crew Dragon capsule carrying NASA astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley into the International Space Station in the near future. Behnken and Hurley were excited to see their rocket ride strut its stuff. Really wish at Astro Doug and I could have joined at SpaceX McGregor team for this huge step on the path to bringing human spaceflight back to NASA and the Florida coast. We won't miss engine start next time, Behnken said on Twitter. Yeah, this looks real fun. After NASA signed a multi-billion-dollar commercial crew deals with both SpaceX and Boeing in September 2014, the space agency is counting on these two companies to provide taxi services to and from the International Space Station, a job that has been done only recently by Russian Soyuz spacecraft since 2011 when NASA retired its shuttle fleet. The anonymous flyer, which first appeared in the post office window, is causing some people in Bradford, Vermont, to scratch their heads and wonder, is there any danger? Yeah, so what was on it? Apparently, a prolonged closure of the Creamery Bridge over the Waits River was not due to the displacement of a Sasquatch. Yeah. Either a single creature or several. The unorthodox notice quickly went viral after Dartmouth College professor Alexander Chee took a photo of it and posted it up on Twitter. Several copies have appeared around town since then. It remains unclear why the author of the flyer has felt so strongly about this particular possibility. According to state transportation officials, the bridge will be repaired next month, but the flyer says, "We would like to put to rest any and all rumors regarding the Creamery Bridge, Bridge 22, that crosses the Waits River here in Bradford. The prolonged closure of the bridge is due primarily to deck replacement and not because of displacement of or intrusion on a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, either a single creature or several. This is absolutely untrue and frankly quite ludicrous. These rumors born of agitated imaginations are to be ignored and disregarded. Thank you." How can you tell an accountant wrote that? because they don't know how to have fun. Finally, on the heels of a report from the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention about backyard chickens spreading illness. Yeah. Well, here we have one angry rooster. According to reports, 76-year-old had been collecting eggs at her home in Australia when the aggressive rooster attacked her lower left leg. The woman collapsed, with an autopsy later revealing 2 small lacerations on her leg, including one on a varicose vein. Her cause of death was listed as exsanguination, which is a severe blood loss caused by the rooster's aggressive pecking. The attack is considered rare, but the report states it demonstrates that even relatively small domestic animals may be able to inflict lethal injuries in individuals if there are specific vascular vulnerabilities present. Any superficial vein becomes varicose, which means twisted and enlarged, but they are most commonly found in legs. They are most often a cosmetic concern, but in some cases they lead to more serious issues. They are typically caused by damaged or weakened valves, but there are several risk factors that may play into it, from age to sex, pregnancy, family history, obesity, or sitting or standing for long periods of time. Yeah, don't mess with this rooster, especially if you have the varicose veins. He'll kill you. Just protecting his hands. Stop taking my eggs. Can't make this stuff up. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What do you think of the hype that still surrounds Skinwalker Ranch? On Twitter, UFO Jane says, it's a mind-bending case. Flies in the face of so many stereotypes about the UFO paranormal field. I think the hype is hardly over. Danielle, I experienced it for myself living in the area for 10 years. It's a big deal and should not be ignored. Joe, hype is the operative word here. I see no historical relevance of the location to the tied to the hype. Bottom line, talk to the elders of the area. Skinwalkers are not aliens. All right, moving on here. Eric, Skinwalker Ranch doesn't scare me because I got a secret weapon. Yeah, cup of coffee. Eric with a K thinks it's legit, showing off his blue chicken picture on Twitter. Cajun Medicine Man. The Skinwalker is a word not openly used. Care should be used with this topic. Yeah. Michael. Oh, that's different. Let's go over to Facebook. Caden. It's like really wanting something you can't have. People want to know what's going on, but with the new owner being involved with the government, those days are gone. Dorothy, I don't think we are ever going to ever know the truth about what's going on there. Alfred, I believe the hype is deserved. William, not a great deal from a research standpoint. Well, you're boring. He's got nice hair, though. Never knew that. Mark, that place has always tripped me out. I'd like to go there someday. Tim, would like to know more. Sounds quite disturbing. Marty, our favorite veteran. People who are skeptical or outright disbelievers have experienced things there that have made them question their own beliefs. So in this particular case, the hype is legit. Joe and his mane. Leave that poor Jedi alone. Jody, I love the Skinwalker Ranch stories, and I'm always on the search for new tidbits. I follow all the peeps closely and would love to sleep on the land a few weeks and see for myself. I know I can't, but it would be very cool. The hype is very well deserved. Penman, I think a lot of strange things have happened there. Daryl, hype? Yeah, right. Plain and simple. It's a portal to another dimension. And that's where we're going to leave it, right there for tonight. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Dave. on Twitter and Facebook. We will do it all again tomorrow. Why? Because we kind of do that thing around here for sure. So make sure you check it on out. Maybe we will read your response on the air. That'd be kind of cool. Big thanks to Captain Shirk for putting our SOR News Wire together. You can find it at spacedoutradio.com with the rest of the cool things that we got on the website now and coming very, very soon. Look for a store in a couple weeks. We're bringing it back. And, of course, thank you so much to Erica Lukes and her brand new fiancé, announced on this show for the first time publicly, Chris Marx, and their great stories and knowledge and research regarding the Skinwalker Ranch. Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'd love to get down there. I really would. I think I'd like to go to Skinwalker over Area 51, only because you can't get anywhere close to Area 51. But could you imagine just kind of hanging out at the Skinwalker Ranch? You never know what you're going to see. That's what makes it all worth it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, in our chat rooms, on Spreaker, Revolution Radio, the SOR Space Travelers Club on Facebook, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Wherever you may be, remember this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for sharing your evening with us, because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, guess what? We need a favor. We need you to take us home.
We're watching.
It was a great show. We're going to do it all again. And I want each and every one of you back here with me, because we own the night here at SOR. Have a good night, everybody. See ya.